What's up, you guys? Welcome to The Imagination. I'm your host, Emma, and today I'm honored to have on the show for a second time Hollywood and music industry whistleblower and survivor, entrepreneur and business owner, former member of the pop rock band The Cab, loving father and devoted husband, digital marketing extraordinaire, advocate for autistic children, content creator, and my new friend, Cash Colligan. In case you missed part one of Cash's testimony, here's a brief recap of what we talked about last time. Cash's life experiences as a young adult in Hollywood, the music industry, and his journey being signed to a major record label began right out of high school at age 18. On the outside, it looked like Cash had hit the lottery, and in Hollywood terms, he actually had. His boss was Pete Wentz from the iconic band Fall Out Boy, and at one point he was so close to Wentz that he actually attended Pete and Ashley Simpson's wedding. For those of you who are millennials like me, these names in Cash's story are sure to bring up some nostalgia on that past episode. By 20 years old, Cash had already toured the world, partied like a rock star, experienced fame, fortune, popularity, money, and lived a life that so many others only dream of. But under the surface of all the money, fame, and facade came years of stress, torment, exhaustion, and ultimately trauma. The first time Cash was on, we discussed this journey from childhood as a child passionate about music to eventually being discovered and signed onto this major record label right out of high school. He talked about the ups and downs and the eventual downfall of the band he founded, The Cab, where a blatant lie ultimately led to him leaving the band and having to rediscover himself. Today, Cash's story picks up where we left off on the last episode, and we will be discussing his life after the cab, how he healed from the trauma that eventually caught up with him after leaving the band he poured his heart and soul into, beginning a new life and finding his true identity, his current work advocating for autism acceptance, discussing autism, and then love and fatherhood. Cash could have become a statistic like we often see in young starlets who have a fallout with Hollywood and become addicts, homeless, and even suicidal. And instead, he healed, found love, and spends his time now giving to and advocating for others. The story he presents and shares with us has never been heard in full before, and it's a great honor to get to learn from his ups and downs and how he survived situations that often lead to deadly life disasters for others who are chewed up and spit out of the Hollywood machine. We all have a lot to learn from Cash, and I ask you all to please put away whatever you're doing and give him your full attention as we get a behind the scenes look at the life of a man who grew from the dirt that was made to bury him and who chooses daily to use his experiences to shine a light on the darkness. Before I finish introducing today's guest, I wanted to give just a couple quick reminders and updates. If you'd like to be on the show, share any information privately with me, or send me a written testimony for my upcoming book series or to be written in a Substack article, you can email me at imagineabetterworld2020@gmail.com or standbysurvivors@protonmail.com. As some of you know, my YouTube channel was recently terminated, and I'm being forced to pivot and use other streaming platforms to get this important information out to the public and disclosure communities. Your support would mean the world to me on platforms like Rumble and X, where I am currently streaming. I also just started another YouTube channel with the handle at Imagination Podcast Official that I will be rebuilding, and I would love to have you all subscribe there as well while I figure out how my new presence on YouTube will look in order to dodge the censorship and backlash for speaking out about these difficult topics. Thank you all for helping to make the imagination the safest space on the internet for survivor, whistleblower, advocate, and educator disclosures. So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming back today's guest of honor, survivor and overcomer, walking miracle, educator and content creator, voice for the voiceless, and a man on a mission to bring autism acceptance, Cash Colligan. Cash, thank you so much for being back. So happy to have you on part two.
Round two of forever, right? I don't know. This has been it's just been healthy, I think. I spent 15 years not like our first intro, right? Like people reach out all the time, and even with like this when we were young stuff, like I knew it came to a point where I needed to finally speak in a sense because of I think what you alluded to, right? Like I lost count of how many people get spit out of this machine and lose themselves, right? There's plenty of soulless 30, 40, 50-year olds talking about the good old days. And it's unfortunate that they have to have those days taken away from them because ultimately they were passionate about something and that passion got turned into a financial endeavor that they weren't in control of, right? So that part's fun. Let's start with I noticed there was a few comments from your last thing, and I think it'd be cool to address the audience because I think some of the questions were fairly important. So I think as we do this series, right, I think it's cool to really address the people that are actually paying attention to this who want to know some more. So let's see. Let's start here. Yeah, all my homies are hate satanic pedos. Me too, bro. That's a great thing, right? Me too. Um, and I'll say this too, like I hope I didn't come across as like accusing anyone, right? Because when you're 18, 19 years old and there's celebrities presented to you, no different than our talks when we talked about seeing a celebrity on a magazine cover. I don't think specifically a member of my band had that mindset, right? I think he was being pulled into a system through celebrity statuses. So I just want to make that clear. And let's start here. Cash, such a blessing, saved from the entertainment industry. Thank you. I think it's weird too because like my faith now, right? Like I am a believer in God. Um, I believe in Jesus, you know. I think you don't realize sometimes that if you're begging to be pulled from a situation, it just might not happen the way you expect it to be. And I definitely was presented with my out and didn't understand it at the time, being accused. But um, understanding that blessing for what it was, because inside my brain, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. But you don't just like say I quit, right? Like you're in the middle of something that everybody's proud of you. So looking back on it all, it was a blessing, even though like, I got lied on and it really like hurt. Like, I mean, it was a blessing that I'm here today and, sober. I got a family and that's all the stuff that kind of matters. So, acknowledging that changing schools can be mean a different new environment. That was the biggest thing, right? Like, and I'm used to I'm used to that change. And I think it's maybe being an only child or having to constantly adapt. But I always could recognize when like I'm in a new situation, it's a time to be fresh, right? Like not bring the old to the new. Like I definitely wouldn't be an advocate for autistic children. I wouldn't be a good husband. I wouldn't be a good father. I wouldn't be a good friend. I would be none of this stuff if like all my conversations were about how terrible my life has been or whatever the case is. My life wasn't terrible. I went to celebrity weddings. I toured the world. If I, I just got that Luigi guy that like shot that dude or whatever. Like I got sent a text the other day that a Cab song is on his fan playlist or something. Like the song's called Angel with a Shotgun. And they're like, I'm just like, so yeah. So to exist in this culture for life, right, or be a part of like the uprising of emo or running into people that have heard a song or I'm honored. At the end of the day, I'm honored. Let's see, gold digger question. I feel like there are many dudes in the music industry who are light diggers, using women for lyrics or hiding sex workers and cheating. If a 15-year-old sleeps with a cop, that's the R word. This one's a little all over the place. Secretly trans. So I don't understand that part of it, but what I will say from my perspective is I do resonate with the light digger thing. I feel like this is who I was at like 18 or something. And if anyone had met me like post the cab experience for 5 or 6 years, I was completely a shell of myself and there was a lot of darkness in me. We'll talk about that later, but I even, I dropped a rap song and lit all their stuff on fire and called them a bunch of words that would get me canceled in 2024, but I did that for the emotional reaction in itself. And there was a lot of thought and marketing put into why I said the words I said. I wanted to offend them. I'll leave it at that. The epitome of self-love. If it feels wrong, fuck them. I live and die by that sword. It protects me. It makes me not hate people because people don't mean what they do to you all the times, even when it's like self-serving, right? They're just trying to serve themselves. They're not necessarily even trying to hurt you. They're just trying to help themselves. So it's like, I don't play with those games. Fuck them. I can only take one. I can only take the F word so many times per sentence. Goodbye. I mean,
My show's not for you if you can't handle a swear word because there are some bad things talked about on the show. So,
yeah, I mean, to kind of like show up and like, that's cool. Thanks for the engagement, bro. But like, fuck shit ass bitch. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm a 35-year-old man. If you can't handle a couple words, like, you should get off the internet. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, stop it. there's people on this channel specifically talking about their traumas, and I don't think anybody has like authority in that sense. But Scuffy James Dean, nothing but love, bro. Like you probably would like me. I'm just gonna say that. You probably do like me. I'm just gonna say that. I'm married, I'm happily married, but if you want to make out, like, I don't know, ask my wife so she can tell you no. Uh, Hi from Las Vegas. I love that. Hometown, Viva Love.
That's awesome.
Um, Raw answer. So this is what I noticed, right? And I definitely wanted to make the disclaimer for it. But when I was talking about trafficking, I never thought I was like sex trafficked, right? And I think we live in this Diddy era, Weinstein, Epstein, where everybody just relates that word to something sexual. Like I was overly sexualized, touched by both underage girls and their moms at concerts, right? You jump off, everyone's like, let me grab the guy. I can't tell you how many times a night when you're taking a picture and I'm not making this up, saying, "Can I kiss you?" Or "Can I hug you? Can I hold you?" So like you're sweaty. I already don't like physical touch really as it is. So like, but that's not to get away from what I was talking about, which was more or less along the lines of like labor trafficking. Like you're put in harsh conditions, you're giving false promises, someone else touches your money before you get it. And the people touching my money, I didn't even have a contract with them. And, we didn't dive into this, but, when I got signed, it's like, here's your manager, here's your lawyer, here's your everything. So I wasn't really protected. I was put into a system where they're protecting themselves with new business that's coming in. So I don't want to offend anybody, and I think I said that last time, but I need people to understand, like, I see here being sexualized and manipulated is vastly different than being sex trafficked. Completely agree. I was not sex trafficked. I never said I was, but and if you want to put it up, just a quick Google search right now, just type the words labor trafficking. I think it would be that's pretty much the main thing, because I am not here to victimize myself or make something seem like it wasn't. I was not sex trafficked, but if we could, just for the
She
sake of
brought
this, oh,
in Green Eyed Monsters, that's what she said. Trafficking is
oh,
defined the activity of buying and selling goods or people illegally. Cash was
yeah,
trafficked for his goods, his talent, and time. He was unknowingly and unwillingly trafficked for his abilities, and his earnings were withheld. That's trafficking.
and that's where I'm at. So I just didn't want, I'm very literal with the terms and in my healing and trying to understand what I went through. But yes, I was
You
put
were
in
bought and
harsh living
sold.
conditions. I wasn't in charge of my money. I was told where to go and when to be there, and I was the person who had to get myself there. So I was, it was what it was. So I just wanted to make that clear that, yeah, sex trafficking is wrong. Any form of taking advantage of human beings are wrong, and I just think the music industry in itself is kind of set up to enter you into this system that exists. They have a plan when they sign you. They know how it's going to work. It's not, you're not having meetings saying, what would you like? How do you feel? It's like, you're going here. You're going to this guy. You're going here. You got to be here on this day. And then you're going to hop on this plane and go here. And you're malnourished, right? They do what's called PDs, right? Where they give you $10 of your own money every day. You know what I mean? So I'm 18 years old, eating one or two Taco Bell burritos a day and driving around the country, and you start going a little crazy. I don't even think I was eating steaks and stuff, right? You can't afford it. So I think that's good, right? I think we touched base on it, but I definitely wanted to address, because I think it's important when people comment and want a specific answer, that I think it's important. So autism, like ADHD, is way over and misdiagnosed. I don't think so. I think it's underdiagnosed. I think there's a lot more neurodivergent people than what people realize, but because everyone has this impression of like Rain Man or the Good Doctor, people think you have to look autistic or something, like it's Down syndrome, and that's just not true. It is sometimes I refer to it as disability. Sometimes it can be even referred to as a disease, but it's invisible at times. And I'm me turning red right here, or pulling hairs out of my neck, or touching one earlobe and needing to touch a second, and everything that makes me who I am. I just don't feel like I have to dive into more of explaining that. Um, and it is, I I just leave it at that, right? Like I believe it's the complete opposite, and there's a reason why 15, 20 years ago, it was like one in every 10,000, and now it's one in every 36 children. It's not, and we can't just act like our generation doesn't have this existing just because it wasn't prevalent and they were diagnosing kids with like bipolar disorder instead of diagnosing them autistic. I come from the wave of you're bipolar, or you got to be old enough to remember that too. They used to just send you to a doctor and put you on pills at like 14 years old. It was like a whole like I feel like it was like an attack on kids, to be honest. Like find something wrong with them and give them drugs, especially if they're free thinking and whatever. Call them bipolar if they have an opinion. Shut them the fuck up. I think like, you know, and coming from somebody who's always been outspoken, will always say his piece. I wasn't an idiot growing up, right? I was in the GATE program. Like I graduated with a 3.8. Like so I don't want anyone to misconstrue that they personally believe it's overdiagnosed or underdiagnosed. I'm not trying to, but I'm just speaking on the behalf of like the autistic community, which is there's so much not understood about autism that these types of things get said. And, whether you're self-diagnosed or you get diagnosed privately through a practice and doctors like I did, like I'm 35. I know plenty of people who are doctors now. I have my reasons for not having a public record. My son does have a public record, but you know, I don't trust the government. I'll leave it at that, right? I don't want something written on a piece of paper that somebody will judge me for in the future, but it doesn't mean I have an issue talking about being autistic. And I think the more that people talk to me, especially now that I don't drink or anything, it's like, how could you ever think I was neurotypical with how I speak or how I frame things or the life I've lived or the things I've built? Like it's almost like put some respect on the autism. Like this brain works hard, bro. So I'll leave it at that. I just think advocating, I think more people being open to the fact that there's a lot more autistic people than ever would have been thought could make this a lot of an easier transition for what is ultimately a wave of autism that is now finally being recognized in America. But it doesn't need to be a scare tactic or a epidemic. It's like, no, like we should accept, breathe, everyone's a human, and let's start from there. So yeah, there's my tidbit on that. But yeah, I think the opposite of that comment. And yeah, and they actually can with blood tests and brain scans. There are a lot of tests available to kind of pin what's going on neurotypically with people. So just want to say that. And I think we touched base on that too, is like well, we didn't, but vaccine related injuries, and then we'll get back to the focus. But a lot of people don't know that autistic kids are 3 times more likely at a minimum to suffer from a vaccine related injury. So but you're not allowed to legally diagnose children till at least the age 3 or 5. So if we're jabbing them with multi doses of everything by the time they're 18 months without understanding what's going on inside their brain, it kind of feels like a hit on children by the government, right? I'll just say it. It feels like they know this, because if they're 3 times more likely to get a vaccine related injury, why would any kid get a vaccine before you understand them neurotypically? So it's like, I'll leave that part at that. So it's very misunderstood. And I think unless you see a prevalent autistic kid with an vaccine related injury, you just don't think they're autistic. And that's weird.
100%. And thank you for going over those comments. That's really
No
special.
worries.
People get to like actually hear from you. So if you guys have
Bring
more
it to
comments, like,
conversation. Come
yeah.
back with more comments. Part 3, we got you. But like this is meant to, the one thing I'll never do is like I'm not pissed off, right? Like I want to have conversations, and that's all it is.
And we appreciate you for that. It's neat. Not a lot of creators take the time to, look at comments and stuff. I love that a lot of the guests on my show do, and we really appreciate you sort of talking live about that. So you guys listening, if you guys have more questions after this episode or any comments off what, we just talked about or what we're going to be talking about today, drop them below and we'll address them on the next time that we work together. Thank you guys so much. Those were some really good comments, and thank you, Cash, for addressing them.
Of
And so
course.
we're going to sort of pick up where we left off. However, before we do, you said something just a little bit ago that I wanted to pick your brain on, because it is a very consistent thing that guests on my show have been entered into, and that is the GATE program. And I wanted to just ask you, like, what do you remember about going in there, and what were you selected for? Was it your IQ or was it something else that they were testing you for?
I don't know, but I remember it being hella weird. And we could dive into this a little more of what I think it is now because there's actually gate programs funded by the government and how they test people. But like it was like, what do you see looking at? I felt like you're in like a psych ward. Like, what do you see looking at this? Or here, come play Factor Muncher on this iMac. Like we were the only kids touching computers. So I feel like there was some weird statistic where they'd pull like 3, 4 kids from a whole school or whatever, throw them into this room and like test them. But like, where did that data go? Right? Like, was I was I in the third grade like potentially getting recruited for like a government job or something, right? Like, and I've heard stories relative to that where the GATE program actually extends outside of the schools, and it's this whole system of how they test people to get into like the CIA and government agencies. So maybe I was a little too honest. It didn't pass that. Maybe I didn't comply enough or something. But yeah, I was definitely elementary school with a couple other kids that were probably autistic, believe it or not, getting put through these kind of tests. And they'd pull me out of class, put me in this room and be like, what do you think when you look at this blob? And or what's this? Or what does this mean? They'd ask you very philosophical questions like how does this make you feel? And I don't think that happened a lot to children. So looking back on it, it was kind of weird. And I just leave it at that. And then I go down my rabbit holes, and it turns out like these tests that they're giving to me as a kid, they're actually giving to like adults who are like entering federal agencies and stuff. And they're the GATE program. You could probably do a whole episode on GATE and what it means on the government side of things. So and it makes sense because it's public schools, they're all government employees and it's all funded by the government. So if they're recruiting high level autistic whatevers and just try to get them young, that's my impression of it as an adult.
I have a few things I'm going to send you after the show that I think
Yeah.
connect some dots for you. So thank
Cool.
you for commenting on that. I'll just say this, almost 100% of the MK Ultra survivors that I have interviewed were also put in gate and were tested, and that was part of their
Yeah.
programming and sometimes selection of like how they moved forward into progressing what programs they went into. So it is a very like interesting rabbit hole, and I found that that's sort of consistent with I think people have this idea that like abuse survivors are going to act like these crazy people or that they're like not intelligent and they're like weak and they're not people that are worth listening to. And like, I completely think the absolute opposite. Like, these are some of the most brilliant people who have learned to overcome things that were meant to kill them, and who have kept those lessons within and use them now to, help shine a light on the darkness and help other people in the darkness find the light, and I think you guys are all just brilliant. So I don't think it's a um I don't think it's a coincidence that that's consistent, that brilliance of a lot of types is very consistent in survivors, whether it's gate program or just, being a high achiever or a high performer, whether that's as a child or even in business as an adult. I find that survivors are some of the most resourceful and strong people in the world. They're not people we need to have all the sympathy in the world for. They're people we need to learn from. So really excited to
I
learn.
on some list. Am I on some list somewhere and I'll get a door knock at 39 being like, it's you, you're the one. We have your result. You're coming with us now. You have no choice. Like, I don't know. I don't
You
know.
might. I'll show you some stuff and then you can sort of make that
Appreciate
judgment.
it. So we probably read a few of the same things, but yeah, that's my impression of the GATE program is I think it was like early government recruitment, if I'm just being honest.
You're not wrong. Let's put it that way.
Right. So,
And so let's go forward a little bit. If I think of more questions from your childhood and youth years, I'll ask them, or we can ask them next episode. But I wanted to pick up where we left off last time, which was you sort of finding your footing after leaving the cab. We had talked about you started working with some other bands and doing some part-time, full-time work, going on tours with other bands. And we sort of left off there, and we're going to sort of talk about, how you started to begin to feel the feelings that eventually caught up to you, how that resulted in your life and some of the side effects that had, and ultimately how you overcame them and moved on from it.
yeah. I think the hard part initially was I don't think people realize what I was going through. So every single day, let's say the cab moving on, right? And a new song comes out and I'm getting text messages like, it used to be so much better, or it used to be, I think people were trying to like make me feel better. It doesn't, right? Like I think the product that five happy kids created could never be replicated. It was just like, it became something different. If you're to look at stuff from like Whisper War and music videos, it's like, oh, bunch of happy kids. And then you go to that second album, it's like, it's a little darker imagery. It's like they're all kind of like wearing beanies in this uniform, and it's like it just became, you can immediately see like before and after the machine took it over. So I don't think, and a lot of people didn't know what I was going through, right? People, a lot of my close circle had received a text message that I had stolen money, and then one by one, I'm like, bro, really? Come on, like, you think this happened? So back to time was my best friend and all that, but yeah, it was complicated. I don't know any other way to put it other than I don't think people realized what I was going through. And because I was pushing it to the side, like, oh, I'm in a new band. I'm over it. This until I actually like left that second band, and almost like getting a side chick or something, right? You're just trying to get over your relationship. You're trying to like move on. It eventually caught up to me when I moved to Long Beach for a summer. My boy Ian was going through some hardships and he was going to quit that band, Panic at the Disco, that he left the cab for. And he had told me, and I was like, he kind of asked without at like, he asked, he didn't want to be alone. And he was in Long Beach. So I was in a relationship. I was in this band, and I was working digital marketing, but they had an office as well in Santa Monica. My brain just went, you're going to keep your job and go to California. You're going to go be with your boy, like, especially. And that's when I think my healing started, because not only did I separate myself from everything I was like masking the situation with, but I went to go be with my boy who was about to feel the exact same way I've been feeling for a few years, and could relate. So those late night cry sessions or smoking joints on the beach, being like, damn, bro, how are we even alive right now? Or like starting to get it out. That was about, I think that was summer of 2011 is when it really started, just like, so maybe 3 years later, started really hitting me and I started healing. And I remember being in Long Beach, a bunch of weird shit going on. I wanted to go back home, but I didn't really know how to restart my life. And I was like, I almost like submitted, and Ian's a great person. Maybe I can get him on here one day, but I just remember like starting to really like hear a voice in my head, or like start to realize what I recognize now as like God, right? And I'm like, I'm sitting out there one night. I lived in this weird address, like a Mexican restaurant home. I don't remember the street name, but I remember the numbers on my house were 333. And I was sitting out front, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, God, if you give me one sign, I'll go back home and I'll try to live a good life. I'll try to right my wrongs. Maybe I'll be on a little revenge kick or whatever, but I'll go back strong and I'll go be with my family and I'll go deal with this shit if you like give me a sign. And I shit you not, in this neighborhood in Long Beach, I'm sitting, it's like 1 a.m. It's like a Thursday night or something. It's a weekday. This motherfucker comes shooting down the street as fast as he can, hits a curb, the car fucking flips. I'm staring at it, and I'm just like, the guy was fine. He gets out, da da da, cops came, but I'm like, yeah, I'm going home. Cause I just like put this out there in the universe. Like, you show me something that I shouldn't be here, I will fucking go home. And within minutes, on a weekday night, 1 a.m, Long Beach in this neighborhood, fucking car flips right in front of me. I'm like, I'm going home. That's it. I'm going home. I packed up my shit, put everything in my $500 Saturn. If people remember Saturns, I had a Saturn. Um, Strapped everything in, and I drove back to Las Vegas. And I was like, I don't know what this means, but I said, show me a sign to go home. And it couldn't be more prevalent watching this car flip in front of me after putting that energy out there that I should go home. And that my my summer of sitting on the beach and smoking weed and crying about it was over, I think. Which is
Wow.
crazy, right? And I think that happens to a lot of people if you just like, I'll get off my high horse, but if you submit and you ask for help, or you ask for guidance, or you ask for wisdom, or you'll get it. And It just might not come in the way. Like my exit of the cab was not in the way I ever thought that would have ever happened, but I got my exit. Um, I never thought my sign to leave Long Beach was going to be some fucking car flipping in front of me in a residential neighborhood on a weekday, but it happened. And you have to like feel and see those for what they are and realize you're getting what you asked for.
Holy smokes. Yeah, talk about a
I came
sign.
home. Yeah. And people were going, like, I was going through with my family. Like, I wrote a song called Jesus is Waiting. And like, my friends are like thinking I'm turning into like no one ever wants to be the first like Jesus pusher in the group and da da da. But now I'm just like, now I'm 35 and it's like, I pray all the time. I know the benefits of believing in the creator that created it. Like, I understand that. I don't fear it. I'm open to it. And I feel like that's why I like cross paths with a lot of things in life that are like, I'm built for. I can handle it, right? Like, I'll tell you one cool story. It's not cool. It's actually kind of fucking sad, but I had a friend die this year, went to high school with us, and it was right around the cab announcing that When We Were Young was coming back, and I didn't get a call, and neither did the original members. So I'm like a little pissed off. And then the homie died. So I called my friend to just let Alex know our homie died. I don't want to talk to him. He don't want to talk to me. But then I go to the grocery store again, Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. I gotta go get whatever the fuck I gotta get for my wife. Um, and I go there and there's this boy sitting out front and he said, homeless, not hopeless. And I was like, who? I'm in. I like it. I like your sign. So I don't talk to him. I do my thing where I usually buy a sandwich. Sometimes it's cigarettes. Sometimes if they're smoking a cigarette, I'll buy a pack, like whatever. I got this little fun pack. I sit next to him. I just say, hey, bro, I want to let you know I see you. And I say this a lot to homeless people. Like, I see you. You know, you're not invisible to me. I see you. Sit down. I was like, can I pray with you? We start praying a little bit, and then he starts opening up to me, and he goes, life's just been pretty hard since I lost my sister. I went, huh. And I'm immediately thinking, well, I can relate. I lose people. The person I considered my brother died when I was 19 years old. Like, that's some pain. And he goes, yeah, she was born in 1989. Fuck, I'm born in 1989. By the way, this friend had red hair. This dude is bright red hair, right? So I'm like starting to feel something. I'm like, oh my fucking God. And he goes, her name was Lacey. I go, her name was Lacey Smith and she graduated from Liberty in 2007, right? And he goes, yeah. I go, brother, I know your sister. And not only do I know your sister, I really know your sister. And he goes, da da da. And I say, the cab. He goes, you're Alex? I go, no, Alex is the singer, but I'm Cash. I started the cab with him. He goes, oh my God, I know you. He starts losing his fucking mind. And I just go, hey, bro, like, I don't know if you believe in God or not, but go fucking home right now. Cause he's talking about like, I can't be home. My dad's so sad. Everyone's using drugs, da da da. I go fucking home. And he went home. I reached out to his mom. I guess he ended up back on the street, but like he went there, told her the story, and it's like you have to understand at that point that there's something else fucking going on. You have to just like, I didn't even know she had a brother, let alone he's asking for money at the grocery store on a Tuesday. I don't even go to the grocery store on Tuesday nights, right? Like it's like if you don't recognize these places and times and you're supposed to be there in those moments, like don't ignore people. People walk past people all the time and get a gut feeling. Go with it. Go wherever. It doesn't even have to be homeless people. Be an old lady in a grocery store. I've sat next to an old man sitting by himself once, just to be like, "You all right?" And he goes, "I just lost my wife." I was like, "Fuck." And then we talk about it. But like, we're all human beings. This is a human experience, and that was a little tangent, but like, I think it could help understand the way I view life and my position in life. And I'm here to serve others, and I'm here to be in the right places at the right time per whatever the fuck I'm on right now.
That
And
made
this and there's a million of those, right? There's
yeah.
a lot of those, but that's one story specifically where it's like, okay, I know there's a God,
Yeah, that made my hair stand up hearing
right?
that,
Like it's
and
wild.
I lived in Vegas, like I said, so I'm like envisioning like there's so many homeless people that do stay
Millions of
out.
people, all
Brilliant.
this shit going on, and that happened.
Yes.
I
And
pulled up the Facebook and he's like, I was like, I know, bro. If we're both here at the same time and you're crying and you gotta go home, you gotta go home to your family. And he fucking took off and left. It was crazy.
And that's an example too, like a parallel life where that could have been you. Like you went through losses, you went through things, and to see,
All of it.
death happening, somebody that was your age, and then also the effects of trauma of what that can do to somebody, and to see how you sort of were able to do healing to the point where you could overcome it and have a different outlook than a lot of people have.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't put into play, right? Like when I was healing, right? Like some people, like I've never done heroin, right? Like I've never done fentanyl. I've never like a lot of people end up on harder stuff. I just decided to like, gross. I like fentanyl, hair, like
And you live
sounds.
in Vegas, like you can get access to anything there anytime.
I've never even done acid because that sounds crazy. Like acid, like what acid? No, like so to like just recognize it for what it is, recognize what could have happened to me if I just did one line of something at one point while I'm depressed. Like, yeah, I could have easily been there, or I know myself, I just would have died. Like, I would have been a statistic who was in a band, got depressed, maybe had a kid, and like, I remember quitting drinking based on the fact of one night I got so drunk and my dad was supposed to watch my kid. I get home and like he kind of was, but like I was drunk and like I shouldn't have allocated that responsibility to anyone else so I could go to a Christmas party, right? So that night happened. We both fall asleep on the couch. Everything was fine. Like my kid was laying with me, but like waking up in the morning, like realizing what if my drunk ass rolled over on him? What if like all these things kind of happen? I was like, I can't drink no more. I'm gonna be such a bad dad. Like this is fucking crazy. Like I just got to take this for what it is. Nothing bad happened, but I never wanted to like be outside of my mind anymore. And then like that's when I feel like the real healing started because I quit drinking March 29th, 2021. Um, and that's when it like hit me a lot. Like COVID was happening, like weird shit was going on, but I just remember watching UFC. It was Francis Ngannou versus Stipe. And I think that was on March 28th. And I was hammered drunk, drinking proper whiskey. Da, da, da. I'm Irish. I'm like, go Ireland. Yeah, I'm fucked up. But what I realized is I drank 7 times the amount of everyone in my house who came over to the fight party. And my neighbors are like throwing up and passing out. I was like, I have a fucking problem. And I don't take it in the way that most people do. Like, it is not a sense of pride that I could outdrink everybody. Like, and once I lost that like sense of pride, I don't even think it was pride. I realized I was an alcoholic. Like, damn, bro, you can handle a lot. You're fine. You wake up every day. And I was never like, never violent, never a hole in the wall, never oh, Cash got drunk and embarrassed. Like, I never had any of that. So I don't think anybody really felt inclined to say you're an alcoholic. But I'm drinking. Oh my God, bro. And I was bougie, right? Like I like wine. So, and you can't drink cheap wine. So like $100 bottle of Cabernet. Like I remember one time going to Outback Steakhouse and they're like, what do you want to drink? I was like, a bottle of wine. And the guy looked at me. He goes, like no one in Outback Steakhouse had ever ordered the whole bottle of wine. And I was like, then you start like kind of catching on to things. You're like, fuck, I drink a lot. Like, but I'm functioning. I'm making $100,000 a year working at the world's largest gentleman's club. Like I'm living the American dream to 90% of Americans. I'm surrounded by naked women. I'm making six figures. I'm like saying no to porn stars who like want to get with me. They're like, what's that? Da, da, da. Like, because I'm hosting them at clubs, which by the way, this is funny. And then line me back up because you're just gonna get some autism out of this or something. I don't know. But um I am the first person ever to create the contract that got adult stars to dance in strip clubs. So it never happened. And then in, I think 2012, 2013, 2014, when I'm at a Sapphire, you know, we had these weekly meetings and I just asked one day, I'm like, why are there no porn stars in here? And then they're like, gentlemen's club, this and that. I was like, I thought we're here to make money. So I wrote this contract with this one guy. His name was Derek. I'll leave it at that, but got 52 adult stars to run this year program called Show Me Sapphire. And this was before the digital. So they'd be like, Hi guys, I'm so and so, and this weekend I want you to show me Sapphire. Blew up on Twitter, made millions of dollars. And then I started noticing, even when I went to like other places and I'd fly around, it'd be like this star dancing tonight in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, did I just start like a cultural revolution in the United States? Like now porn stars are being like, I danced at Sapphire. Can I dance over here? So like it just opened this whole thing in the adult star industry. And another autism W I'm learning, right? Because like for some reason for 100 fucking years, then they weren't putting the two together and like renaming packages. Let's say it's Alexis Texas or something, right? You just double the price of the bottles and call it the Texas. Now they're getting a dance from their favorite porn star and spending 10. It just became this crazy thing that I ultimately left because I got married and like, but I could have, there's been so many, even post the cab, right? Like, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll and until like 25, 26, just because that's all I knew. Like, I was the perfect product to run marketing in a strip club. I'm Vegas. My name's Cash. I'd seen the world. I've seen sexually deviant things. I'm numb to it at this point. So I could just do my job. I could just do my job so much that I didn't even care about the porn. They're like, oh, come back to our room. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about you. I'm gonna go smoke some weed and go to bed. I don't care about none of this shit. I'm making money. Fuck all y'all. Um, and then I met my wife, and it just made sense to just kind of get out of that industry in general. But yeah, even past the cab for 5 more years, going hard in Vegas, nightclubs. Worked for David Sachs for a while too. He's got those theater companies out here. So I didn't really until I made that's the point I'm making. Until I left entertainment, I didn't really start healing because I'm around music. I'm running. You know how many people walk into the strip club every week being like, "Cash, what's up, bro?" Like da da da. The cab sucks now, and I'm just like, that doesn't make me feel good. Like I'm just like, you almost like you're like, damn, the legacy's getting tarnished, and that's what probably leads into the next thing is like, when they drop their album, I dropped a rap music video lighting up all the merch I had on fire and just kind of being like, man, fuck y'all. Cause I keep getting these text messages every day on like how y'all are ruining it. But because you got like a half-assed radio hit and living in this bubble, you don't realize like your whole hometown hates you. And they tell me every day about it. So that's the weird thing. And that's why it was weird when I thought like when they got booked for When We Were Young, I was like, oh, it's in Vegas. They haven't played here in 12 years. Maybe they'll put the two and two together that like doing this with the original people from this exact town. But I think it's so far gone in their own little bubble that they don't live here, right? Like it's fun. The three guys that live in Vegas aren't playing the show. And I don't, I wish them well. And I wish nothing but the best when they do play this show. But I hope they're not surprised when it might not be completely the feedback they expect based on what I've been hearing for 12 years. Like I could share my messages, I could do whatever, but it's like I haven't heard one person happy that it's like, oh, they're back.
And so talk about this song that you were talking about and the impact that you wanted it to make, why you made it, what it was about, and just, what ended up happening as a result of that.
So I caught wind like maybe 4, 5, 6 months before the album was coming out. They dropped a release date. And there was this thing that was known as like the Cab Day, right? Where the first album came out on April 28th or 29th of 2008. So it's called the Cab Day. Every year on this day, you could be like, happy the Cab Day, whatever, right? So they hadn't come out with an album in a while. Um, I could see this kind of little push happening, but then they announced their EP. And I just dealt with this whole second album drama. Mind you, like I'm not getting, we'll call it my fair share of like a royalty. Um, which by the way, a quick thing before we dive into it, I want to ask you a question because I think this puts it into perspective of like how I could feel the way I felt. So there was a song when we got signed called All Run. We wrote that 100% ourselves, 5 kids in a band room. We get signed, it becomes one of the major singles. It's put into the movie House Bunny. We start getting video game placements. And then I bring back up publishing, right? How much, after hearing that story, how much percentage in the payout for publishing for that specific song do you think I get?
5%?
We wrote it close, actually. Close. It's 3.7.
My God.
Of a song I wrote with four dudes in a band room that smelled like cigarettes. Somehow I lost 17 some odd percent along the way. Because God forbid somebody said come in and add these strings and get their 5%. So now these douchebags I never even met working for all these people, they take everything, right? Back to labor trafficking. Why? I understand all some other songs, right? And I understand purposely wanting, like, we have a ballad. It was written by Butch Walker, who wrote like all of Averil's ballads and stuff. And like, I get it, but at the same time, like, it was never proven to us that these songwriters write better songs than us. Because to this day, that All Run song, you listen to the album, it stands the test of time. Every guitar lick, every lyric, all these things, they like kind of stand the test of time. So it's just very weird for other people to be like, we signed you because of a song you wrote completely by yourself that we love, but here we're going to give you all these songwriters that are working for us and they're going to end up making more than you off your album.
Especially because like you guys are the ones touring, you guys are the ones singing these songs, you guys are the ones doing interviews and press
Driving the
releases.
fucking, we
Yeah.
driving the, I don't even have a driver on a payroll. We drive in the fucking van, right? So it's like, after all of that, you're gonna give me 3.7% of the only thing that I should actually fucking care while I'm here. That's crazy. It's crazy. So just to put into perspective of how this animosity could come about, it's like, okay, I'm getting daily texts at this point that the name's tarnished. I'm hearing all the time the songs suck. I'm hearing all this more or less abuse from people coming into me being like, it was so much better when y'all were in it. I'm like, obviously, bro, like I didn't make this decision. Nobody made this decision for this band to end up this way. So when they announced this EP, their third album or whatever the case might be, fourth album, I think I did two albums with them. So yeah, fourth album. Let me let me start some shit, I think is what I felt. And I wasn't sober yet, right? This is 2014. This is neons before I decided, like, okay, internally heal, right? So I flipped a song. It's Fall Out Boy. You might be able to find it on Vimeo or something. It might live, but I got advice one time that, because I thought I was going to go through a lot more lawsuits with this situation, just like studying Tom DeLonge and realizing at the end of the day, they're still touring on an intellectual property that I have a contract that says I own 50% of this name. So it's like they're doing all this shit. They're not really how I left. Even when I left, right, they're touring and the van was still in my name. So I was getting parking like 13 or 14. There's like 13 states, I think, right now that like I'm probably have a warrant for unpaid, like the entire East Coast. So like not only am I not in the band, I'm getting sent all these tickets in my name. I'm starting to be like warranted in states. I have to deal with them one by one. Um, and even to get my gear back, they made me get my gear back from the guy that replaced me. Like, you know what I mean? I had to pull up to this guy's house being like, hey, nice to meet you, the guy that's playing all my shit now. Can I have my shit back? It's like the whole thing was just like pretty toxic. So kind of understanding that emotion that I'm feeling led to, okay, let's make a rap song. And not only are we going to make a rap song, I'm going to make a rap song over a Fall Out Boy flipped beat. And not only am I going to do that, I'm going to tell everybody what happened. And that caused some shit to where, but I decided that day, actually got hit up by two labels. I'm not going to say them. Because there's some stipulations of like if I were to sign again, like Atlantic has to look at it first. It's like, so I've never gotten back into like getting a label. Even when I was in that other band, there was like issues with trying to get signed. So I just decided that day, I think it got 30 or 40,000 hits the first day. It got more hits than like their album was. And I just went, and I actually took 2 days off work. This is how crazy I was. And because I'm pretty good at digital marketing, every post about them. Oh, you love this song? Check out this video. Oh, you like this song? Check out this video, to where like now, now they knew how I felt. And 5 years later. So to some people, it's like, they're looking at it from a perspective, I can't get over it. I'm looking at it from a perspective of fuck y'all. So that's ultimately why this song happened. Because I got the messages I want. Why'd you burn this? Why'd you do that? Now their management wants to talk to me. Now all of a sudden, like these doors reopen and I can finish these conversations I was trying to have. Because I wasn't trying to get sued necessarily, but a very, very powerful lawyer told me once, if you ever want attention, it's much easier to defend yourself than to accuse somebody. So I put myself in a position to get legal letters sent to me and kind of start this process of, okay, now you guys know how I really fucking feel. And I wasn't sorry for it because you don't get to brush somebody to the side, do all this thing. So I guess this was my version of art being like, hey, I need y'all to know I don't like them. I need y'all to feel what I feel. And I think the only way that they actually felt what I was feeling is by watching me burn all of their shit. And it was effective, and it did the job that it needed to do, which was like, cool, now there's no secrets. You guys know how I feel about you. And I still say it right now. It's like, you know, there's a reason why in 15 years they don't want to talk to me. Like this will never happen. Like what I'm doing with you, for them to just like be like, sorry, that must have been hard. And I would like, I don't even understand their perspective of me other than they didn't want me around anymore. And I think it was because of, oh, I get attention. I'm loud. I'm the tattooed, funny, crazy one, right? Like every band that's successful, in my opinion, had a one of me, had a Pete Wentz, had a figure. Like I said, I was going to the weddings, I was going to the VMAs, me and the singer, right? And that ultimately, I think, if I would have bent the knee and just decided, let's just be like Alex. Let's let Alex be happy. Let's just cool. Let's go to these celebrity parties all the time. Sure. I got asked once, do you want to go on a double date with me and Selena? I like, no, I said no, back to the whole like aware of what's going on around me thing. And I just think if I would have caved more, but that just wasn't me, right? Like I wasn't trying to fake it till I make it. Like I was my complete authentic self and we made it. Why would I have to change anything I'm fucking doing? They wanted us. I didn't give myself a contract. I didn't tell me what to do. And by the way, like when the cab got signed, when Panic got on stage with us and this viral YouTube video happened, 30 labels hit us up. So like I didn't even want to go with Fueled by Ramen. There was this guy, bless his heart, Kenneth Creer. He managed the Backstreet Boys and a few other prominent groups at the time. I wanted to go to Warner Brothers and go through him because he was one of the first people I gave our demo to, and he's like, fuck yeah. And I trusted him more. So, and the sad truth, if we didn't go indie and do the whole, we love Fallout Boy, we want to hang out with Fallout Boy, we would have made millions of dollars. But this indoctrinated, do you want to be around people you idolize versus do you want to be a business and make a bunch of fucking money? You just don't understand that when you're 18. You just want to be cool. And I think Fueled by Ramen specifically, and you look at us, the Hush Sound, any band they bring on, it's the same system. Here's this. Go meet Pete, do one tour with them, do a secret show with them, feel important, and then you on the road, and we're never gonna talk to you. Peace, bitch. Go make money.
So heavy at such a young age to try to contend with all of that too, especially because like you're around adults who are established in this industry and who are looked at as like people that own your contracts. And I know that you were different. You didn't have to sign NDAs and things like that. It was, you still have a little bit more lenience in being able to talk about this, but your
Some
pay and
people don't.
everything is still being controlled by these people. You don't have agency over yourself and your funds, and so having to
I
sort of,
never saw one financial breakdown from a tour of where all the money went. And
well,
we're doing arenas, right? Like I'm playing arenas. I'm not playing fucking dive bars. I'm playing arenas.
and like you're having to trust these adults that and
Selling merch to
when you're
20,000 people a night type shit, right? Like I'm playing arenas. I'm on TRL. Like I want people to understand that, right? Like we weren't just doing B market tiny room. I'm playing fucking arenas. The tour I quit was a headlining tour where 3,000 people a night are buying tickets. And I'm coming home with nothing, nothing, just mental illness and people fighting with each other because ultimately, if 10 people are in a van all day, there's two people that drive, there's one person that's like in the middle, and then there's two people that just like are entitled and I'm not driving, I'm not doing anything. This is my spot in the van. This is my da da da. It's like it's created. And I'm not the only band who's, has the band existing today with only like one or two members left because it's all the same system. It's just about the money. And until like, I think it boils down to fans and stuff too. Like, not enough fans advocate for this shit. Like, Panic at the Disco is playing their first album start to finish without the band that people love from the first album. It's stupid. And more fans should wake up to that. It's cool. Like, I get it. You love the songs, but the people who wrote them is why you kind of love this band, or you watched a vlog once, or you saw something funny, or you liked everyone had their favorite member, right? Some people are really into drummers. Some people are like, it's just like, I think fans of music should start speaking out more against bands like, hey, quit fucking up what I love. Like you're affecting people that enjoy your art for your own self-interest. And that is the number one reason why acts fail is they stop forgetting what happened, why people loved them. They just assume people love them. It's like, no, but the story, like getting picked up by Fall Out Boy, these kids from high school pushing that thing, like if they would have spent 10 minutes protecting that energy or giving us a real adult or paying a real professional to manage us, it would have worked out. But they don't want it to work out. They just want one or two left. And that's cool. And I didn't make the cut and I don't care. Knowing everything I know now, right? Like I would choose this life 10 million times over ever being around them, to be honest. Because they loved it. They loved it. Three other people didn't. And those are the two that made the cut, right? They're cool with being in that system. Mary, I even think the piano dude, he dated some chick, what was her name? Lucy Bale or Lucy Hale or something from some TV show. It was all about status, right? I didn't care about that. I told you, like, I would go to these places. I'm fucking kicking it with homeless people in the alleys and shit. Like, that's like who I was, right? Like, I enjoyed the human experience. How many people can I meet today versus I'm dating a celebrity and I'm going to sit in the van and like be too good for this situation. There's two different mentalities when you're out there, and only one mentality is the cream that rises to the top. And I'm not that.
Well, and let's face it, a lot of these labels and people that sort of sit at the top of the Hollywood and entertainment food chains, they also profit a lot from the drama that gets exposed publicly, whether that's a fallout of a band or whether that's somebody breaking apart and having a breakdown, some type of dysfunction. Like they're not trying to stop it, they almost try to encourage that because it makes them even more money. They get in the tabloids, they get more attention, they get more people that are watching videos and going to concerts, and it becomes like, again, they're basically like, I mean, we could use the word trafficking again, in my opinion, like they're exploiting you for money, they're exploiting pain and they're exploiting vulnerability and trauma to try to get, attention and additional money from the public, which is really sad.
I mean, have you ever had a job where your boss is given a paycheck for you, but then your boss holds on to it and does whatever they want and just says, "Oh, you made $12. Here you go." Like, I don't even know how much money gets received, right? Like, but then I stopped touring, right? And like I got homies coming home from independent tours, way smaller than anything I was on, coming home with $50,000 in their pocket, $80,000 in their pocket. I'm just like, fuck. Like, and I don't know if there's statutes of limitations on it, but like, these people should be audited. Like, and I don't know why it's so protected, but then you stop asking why, because then you're just like, it's a system and it all works together. I wouldn't be shocked if management companies had ties to the government and they work for the government. It's like it really is that when you start understanding it more for what it is. Like they also have an agenda. They also have to operate a certain way to continue to operate. If you fall out of line, like somebody like me, you're not in the game anymore. And they will get you the fuck out.
And a lot of talent, you were saying last time, there's like a shelf life basically for celebrity sports stars. Like they want you for a specific age, and typically that's like childhood and young adult years, and then they want to just discard you other than that. And so when you think about being that young, a lot of times the parents have jobs, they're trying to make ends work. They're not paying attention to what these agencies are saying. And everybody's just so excited to like get an opportunity and get a contract that they're not educated on that, hey, these people are going to screw you over if you sign that or if you join this. They're just so hungry and like want that opportunity because it's their passion. And again, they're being exploited for that. These people know very well how passionate you are and that you might be ignorant to what they're going to take from you with that. And they feed and prey off people who, have that passion because they know that those are the people that are just going to jump through hoops to go on the tour and will accept that 3% and not ask questions until later when they realize, hey, wait, something's not right here. Like,
I've, hey, wait, we've sold hundreds of thousands of records. I walk into weird gas stations in random cities and people know me, but I'm not getting paid. I remember one time I was in Oklahoma. It's like 2 a.m. because it's always a weird fucking time. And I'm in Subway and our song starts playing. And I barely have enough money to buy that fucking Subway sandwich. And I was like, there is something wrong here. There's something going on here that's like wrong. Now at 35, this is the perspective, right? When I'm there, I'm just like, oh, well, maybe because they always talk about you didn't hit your debt rate. You didn't pay it off yet. Pay off what? Fucking pay off what? Like some company just handed us $350,000 that you made me basically get none of. Um, like what's being paid off? The van was given to us. We didn't buy a van. So what's getting paid off? Like the studio time to get a record, I feel like that was donated because Red Bull Studios had just opened and they're like letting bands record there. Matt Squire, the producer, I heard he did us at like a really good rate because Panic brought us in and like he wasn't as big, nearly as big as he is today. Matt Squire, anyone can Google him, like renowned producer that we got to work with. Um, it just didn't make sense that we were still paying people back for something years later. Like it made zero fucking sense actually. So I still don't understand it. I hope one day like a lot of these agencies could get like audited. But like I said, I think there's a statute of limitations. I think they're protected correctly. But yeah, if it doesn't rub you wrong, finding out that like 18-year-olds are given their lawyer by the company that hires them. I never had a contract with the lawyer, never had a contract with management, just with the label. But the label's working with the management and the lawyers. And all these bands are part of the same system where, there were bands, I won't say them out loud, but I was torn with bands where the singer got 100% of the publishing. And, one of them justified it by saying, I just don't trust what they would do with the money. Who the fuck are you to say that? And who convinced you at the same age of all these other guys that you're in a position of authority to say, I'm going to hang on to this money because I don't trust them with it? Who the fuck said that to you? And and with our situation, it was weird because Alex, the singer, got 55%. And you would think, okay, 45% then split evenly. No, then motherfuckers are talking about who gets more of the 45% of the four people. So me and the drummer got 10%. The guitarist, Ian, who's an angel, he could get whatever he wants. He deserved half that fucking record. The cab only sounded good because of the guitar on it, like the best guitarist in the world. I encourage you, if you could ever listen to Whisper War. Somebody sent this to me 2 days ago. I just got it in the mail. Like someone was like, Merry Christmas, and they
oh,
bought my vinyl for me. But this slaps. Ian deserved every penny. But when you start, then people start saying shit like, I deserve 2.5 more percent than you. How toxic is that? No, you don't. This was coming from the piano guy who I brought into the band because I was just obsessed with something corporate and I thought having a piano element would bring the band further. Like you've only existed for like a year, bro. You didn't do any of this. You wouldn't even exist if I didn't have this idea that piano would be a good element to this band. How do you deserve more money than me? Oh, because your instrument has more fucking key. Like, bro, I sold out every concert for us. What are we talking about? Who did the pre-sales? Who did the marketing? Who that broadcast shit I told you about, like who got us played on every high school, who ultimately was like the cool member of the band that made it relative to where people realized they could work with us because someone understood the business side of things. Like all of that is out the window, and they just go, "Oh, you play bass," and that's like, do I though? Because now I left the band, and now there's no more record deal. So did I just play bass, or was I an intricate part of this band? And I think they just found that out the more interesting way of how bands work, and everybody has their roles. I never looked at myself as a bass player. I looked at myself as somebody who never gave up, tattooed it on his arm, and said, "Fuck you, hell or high water, this will make it." I remember one time, this is the last time I'll bring up him, but I remember one time there was an issue of Alex not wanting to go to band practice because of tennis. He's like, "I can't miss tennis practice." I was like, so that shows the level of commitment of the person who is as far as they are today versus like where my mindset was at grinding every day to make this work. Tennis, fuck gives a fuck about tennis, bro. Like tennis. I'm gonna talk about tennis. So that just gives the mindset of like how hard I was working and how weird it got when other people became our boss without a contract and started telling us what everybody deserves. It was fucking weird.
Well, of course, we didn't get as far as maybe we intended to. This was an incredible conversation, and
I got a few. If you got a few, lay one out. Lay one out. Let's do another 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, because I do enjoy this in the perspective of I think segments. It's enough to digest, and it's such a long story, and we can't do a 10-hour run.
of course we can. We'll just break it up.
Yes, ma'am. So end it with a good one. What I feel like you've heard a lot. You might know enough, at least like personality wise, what I was dealing with, this and that. Like, do you have any questions outside of this interview? Like, would take a left turn real quick and just like organically the next 5 or 10 minutes, like whatever you got, or yeah, I'm here.
I want to know from you, for people who are like really struggling with, they know that like things in their life, maybe they don't have agency over their life. There's a lot of people in some way or another who don't feel like that, but they're really afraid to, take that next step to sort of liberate themselves from that. You sort of navigated that, and you could have easily went back to the band like you said last time, apologized, been like, no, I don't want to leave this, like I'm gonna just do this because the fame and fortune is awesome, I don't want rumors going.
Right. You could say this for the next 20 years and make jokes on me that I stole $60 that never
Like
went
you
missing.
really
I
like
could
you
have
walked
accepted.
away from like the American dream that people like, they're vying their whole lives to try. Everybody wants to be famous at some point in their life, and like you consciously chose to walk away from that at such a young age. And like I'd love to hear for people who like just aren't aligned in their heart, but like they're really afraid to maybe make that move. Like what advice would you give, or like how did you sort of get through that barrier that a lot of people really struggle to even like put one foot out on?
Yeah, I think everybody has their cherry on top moment. And that was mine, right? Like the relationships were always pretty toxic ever since the publishing deal, right? Tours. I mean, I'll say this, right? Like this is, I remember one time I was the first one to have a laptop, right? So I like let people borrow my laptop. I remember one time being in a venue and I'm watching, I won't say his name, but one dude, one of these two dudes in the band, I'm watching him steal someone's laptop case to try to fit my laptop in it because he lost my laptop case, ends up not giving me a laptop case or paying me back for it, and then tells me as I'm watching him do this, I didn't lose it. And I'm like, how do you even, how do these words leave your mouth? Like, I just watched you steal someone else's shit to try to sneak my shit into it. But I had a 17-inch Mac, but you stole somebody's 15-inch case. You're trying to stuff my laptop in it. And then I gave you you're writing demos for our band on my laptop, and you can't even respect the fact that like you lost a case for the laptop. I don't even, and mind you, you got 55. All right, I gave him away as a singer. You got 55% of our money and you can't even like drop a 20 on some shit that you lost when I only own a laptop. And not only that, like you got the money for a laptop, but it's much easier for you to just use my laptop because you use me. So I think you just gotta, to appropriately answer your question, you have to forgive people. And ultimately, if I were to convey one message of all this, even though at some points I probably sound pissed, or I don't think I'm pretty monotone. I just like I got an animation to my voice, I guess. But you have to forgive people. It's the hardest thing in the world sometimes, but once you do it, you're free, right? Like I don't fear talking about these things because I forgive them. I don't fear what's going to happen with the rest of my day because I'm not carrying the weight of things I haven't forgot or forgiven. Like I forgive them. And maybe in their head they need to forgive whatever's gone on, right? Like I don't, but that's the part I don't even fucking care about. It's just who am I? I don't feel any hate in my heart. And most people can't look at things situationally. So when I talk about like the old singer of my band, I talk about him from a place of understanding how manipulated he got and who he became because of the influences that were in his ear. Would that have happened if he was told, don't lose your band, they're the best thing that's ever happened to you? Absolutely not. He would have loved us, right? But he was told there's more opportunity if there's less people around you. And I'll never forget it one time that he told me once, he's like, oh, I just saw what are they called? Tarot card readers or whatever. And she said, I'm going to be in a band by myself one day. And he's in a band with me. And I'm like, do you even realize how crazy you are? Do you realize like how how crazy is that? Like I'm sitting in like a dirt lot in bumfuck Nebraska, and you just come up to me and be like, I'm gonna be in a band by myself one day. I'm like, I really don't fucking care. Like I don't even know what that does at a point to where you just like you gotta realize like a lot of people base their lives in self-interest. Nobody's really as loyal as like you think. And back to the if it ain't right, fuck them. And you have to mean that, right? And it could take a long time. This stuff happened to me 15 years ago. And 10 years ago is when I started recognizing that it happened to me. 3 or 4 years ago, I quit drinking, right? Like you have to just, and there's this guy, Alex Finn on X, shout out Alex, but his whole thing is just 1% better every day. I ain't perfect. I'm gonna have my flare ups in traffic. I think Theo Vaughn said that or something. I'm gonna have these moments that I'm gonna have triggers, right? Like there's gonna be someone that comes into my life between now and the cab plane in October that's gonna fucking go, it's gonna send me to this place. But I also know my steps. Hey, this did happen to you. Hey, this is what you've done since then. Hey, you have a beautiful family. Hey, you're healthy. Hey, you go to the gym. Like stop thinking about so much about what was taken from you and just read the room. The fact that, I mean, this shit's bad for me, but the fact that I can even afford one, you know, there's AC in my house. This house is 3 stories. Like, but that all comes from like 1% better every day and like aligning your priorities along the way. And when you meet someone good, recognize how you would want them to always not lose that light in them. Like I will never go to a person who's full of life and trauma dump on them. Like if anything, I want to try to catch some of that life. I want to see what they look at. Like, why do you think everything's so beautiful? Because I come from a dark place. And and be in rooms with people smarter than you. I think my biggest problem with healing at first is I was always like the king of the degenerates, right? Like, hey, meet me here, and I'm the reason why 30 people go to a bar so I can buy them drinks and stuff. And you think that's empowering, but you're really just like the king of the fucking idiots. And like, my life got better when I made the decision. I want to go work for millionaires and billionaires. And then I did that. I want to start a family. I met my wife while she was doing promotional model stuff, like working for the corporate side of things when I was at the gentleman's club, right? Like if you would have told me I'm gonna meet the love of my life at a strip club in the corporate office, just walking by one day being like, who the fuck is that? I would have never believed you. Especially because like I hated strippers, I hated that industry. And it was just very weird that like when you're not ready for something, when you're not ready to accept something, but maybe you're prepared for it to happen, you should allow that door to open. Because I was not in a place to, when I met my wife, I was living with three women. I was working at the world's largest gentleman's club. I was making it rain, like, but I never had like I wasn't a very, this probably, I guess it's not TMI because we're on the Imagination podcast, but I was never like a sexually driven person, right? Like it was always business and money and how do I scale this process? How do I refine this process? And I think you can apply that a lot to your life. And I never did that for a while. So like how I run my businesses is almost how I'll run my life, which is like, okay, time to spend 20 minutes on you. I pray every day. That's been helpful. I think the power of prayer is super important. I live by this, like, be careful what you dream for because they come true. Like that cab situation, I got exactly what I dreamed for. I opened for Fallout. Pete Wentz was my boss. I played bamboos. I played a bass guitar on stage in front of 65,000 people singing a song I sang in my living room as a child. So, like, manifesting, it's real. And if you want something, just realize what are you willing to sacrifice for it? Like I wanted to be a great father. I had to kind of kill the musician in me and I had to kind of get rid of the things that I knew that were like looking in the rearview mirror, alcohol. I don't even go to a lot of pop punk concerts, right? Because I want to protect my energy because it has nothing to do with the people themselves, but like yeah, I don't want to talk about the cab in public. So like you're not going to catch me at the next Fall Out Boy concert in the crowd. Or you're not going to catch me at the local venue when so and so is playing because truthfully, like it's no disrespect to people that I don't want to see them. It's just I've moved on and I don't believe in staying friends with people because you've known them for a long time. And I won't give names, right? But I just had a friend who got arrested last year. He was caught in some sting operation where texting a 14-year-old girl on an app or whatever, right? And this is somebody I knew for 25 years I would have never known. Um, you just gotta understand that there's a lot of crazy fucking shit going on that you know nothing about. So like you really just have to focus on you and what's right for you. Um, and heal, right? Heal, talk to people, get a life coach, go on walks, donate times. Like we talked about it, right? I think we talked about it, like even trans rights, all these things. Like if you care about something, then do something, right? Like don't be sad, get out of the comments online, but like, you know, find purpose. Like what makes you feel good and go for that. I think you could probably speak on that running this podcast, right? Like it fills your cup. It's something that, and it's selfish, right? It's selfishly this is what I feel I can do to help make this place a little bit better. That which is a selfish thing. Like you do stuff because you want to do it, but if you can align what you want to do in a position to better everyone around you, like I'll never buy a cookie and say my kid can't eat some of the cookie or whatever, right? Like whatever analogy we can pull from that, you just have to it sounds tacky, but you gotta be the change you wish to see. I didn't want to drink anymore, so I stopped drinking. Now anyone in my circle doesn't really drink. My circle changed, right? Some people I hung out with actually quit drinking. My dad quit drinking. He's like 55 years old. He's like, you know, so you can be impactful to people. And anyone you impact, you won't ever know. Like I talked to my cousin before this interview. She's like in her 40s or 50s. I have like a 20-year gap with my older cousins. But she brought this story. She goes, yeah, I remember when you were a kid and Sam, her daughter, was in the car and she couldn't see, and like you cracked the door and left the door open for her so she wasn't scared in the dark. Like I don't remember doing this, But 20 years later, it was still something that she remembers based on who I am. So I think like, who are you? Don't let people dim that shine. And demons are real. Like I'm gonna get 7 or 8 intrusive thoughts today. They're gonna try to like make me not be a good husband and go to Target and finish wrapping up Christmas gifts and stuff. It's gonna be like, oh, you should go do this. Like every day my brain says you should go drink. And I'm like, fuck you, demon. Like it's cool. So I think the more to short answer after that 5-minute tangent is just like you'll find your people if you just like have some goals and you focus on yourself and you know, jelly roll, right? The windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror, and your eyes look forward. They don't look backwards. Um, and that's the hardest part. And I'd be lying if I said that didn't take me 7, 8, maybe a decade, right? To learn that I'm not my past. I have my whole life still ahead of me. I'm only 35. Um, you could change all that. Like if I decided today that I wanted to be fluent in Spanish by 40, I would be. It's just not on my goals. I don't want to learn Spanish. Don't care. But if I cared, I'd be there. And time's your best friend. And I'll leave it with that. Anybody watching this right now, you hate your job, you hate your career, you're sad, you're this and that, change it. You just can't do it in a day. Go back to school, get a grant. I got into the industry I got into by sleeping on a couch and working 3 months for free. And now 15 years later, I'm supporting my entire family in a 3-story home and I'm sober. So it's like, but I always knew I could get to this place because in here it's the realest it's ever been. And where I'm heading with like my autism advocacy, I see myself by 2028 or 2032 running for a political position in Las Vegas. And I know I'll win by a landslide. Whether it's digital marketing efforts or what I promise or what I could do for my community, I'll win by a landslide. Now, I don't need to tell that to anybody, but in my head, I'm in a suit, I'm on a podium, and I'm impacting my city. And that's where I'll be in my 40s, right? But understanding like where I want to go and defining that, you don't need all the answers. Like I call it living 15 minutes at a time with a 5-year plan. I don't care about what happened this morning. I'm really excited to watch some podcast tonight with my wife. You should look into it. A little plug. It's called the telepathy tapes.
I know that one. I was actually going to send it to you. That's one of the guests that I sent you that podcast of. She was on that show.
Oh my God, bro. Because like obviously having a non-speaking autistic kid, it's like I come from data. I'm in SEO analytics, like numbers go up, numbers go down. Like when I see like real data on shit, I'm like, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that tonight, but I'm not thinking about what time it starts. And those people that are like, what are we eating for dinner? I don't know. What do you want? And then they freeze. Just start telling people what you want. What do you want for dinner? Spaghetti. Dope. We're having spaghetti. But you don't need to think all day and you don't need to type out a list and you don't need to go back and forth and you don't need to consume all your time with such simple decisions. You need to make them and move on. And that's what anxiety derives from and everything. Just I think we can end with that. And like a lot of successes in my healing have come from understanding what I need to do and just doing it. Even if it's hard. Like I never wanted to go back to the gym. I don't like I didn't even really want to quit drinking, if I'm being honest. Like I fucking love wine. Wine is so good. But like, how do I get to where I want to go? It's through some discipline. And a famous Mike Tyson quote, right? Discipline is doing shit sometimes that you hate, but doing it like you love doing it. I pick up my kid every day from school and he wants a piggyback ride. I'm 150 pounds and he's like 50, right? Like it hurts. After a while, it's pain. It's like wearing a 50-pound vest walking through an entire park. But that's my job. It's not my job to be like weak in front of my kid and be like, oh, daddy's shoulders hurt. No, I'm dad, bro. I'm gonna be this thing that, it don't matter. And I hope when you're 30, you see it and you could do that for your kids. And if not, That's cool too. I don't really care. But practicing who you are, staying true to it, defining who you are, and practicing. You want to ace a test, right? In biology. What do? You learn biology. You study biology. You fixate on biology. So how do you fix yourself? Study yourself. I don't think enough people admit to the things that they're all fucked up about or the things that hurt or what their triggers are. Like me saying I don't go to pop punk shows in small rooms. It's a trigger. And that's nobody's fault. That's me protecting myself. And I don't even need to explain that to anybody. Why weren't you there? You know why. Because I don't fucking want to be there. And self-respect is the most important thing. And you have to, time heals everything, right? Even if you piss someone off, they ain't gonna be that mad in a couple days. Especially if you're like leading with your heart and being intentional with your words. Hey, this doesn't work for me. This is how I feel. Blah, 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 blah. That's cool. That's cool. But now we know. We're on the same page here, okay? And that's important because if people don't know how you feel, you're just dealing with it. And that's pretty toxic. That's when you start lighting shit on fire in music videos and trolling and what do they call it, sub posting, where you're just writing these big paragraphs to one specific person. I'm just like, tag them. I don't care. What are they gonna do? They're gonna do nothing. If you don't like someone, block them. What are they gonna do? Nothing. Um, just don't be toxic. And the best thing I can say, even if it's your immediate reaction, take a deep breath before that dumbass negative shit comes out of your mouth. Because you might not even mean it, right? Like, oh, the weather outside sucks today. Maybe before you agree with that person, take a deep breath and go, yeah, it's not the best, but I'm glad to be alive. Hit them with some shit like that. Just be like, you know, imagine how blessed you are to complain. Like some people get shot for that. You go to another country and say the president's gay or whatever, you go to jail or you dying. So like, especially in America, um, just feel as blessed as you are to hit the lotto and have this human experience in this thing that may or may not be a simulation, and just take it for what it is. And like I'll end it with like my spiritual beliefs are, we're here to learn and grow, and it's the beginning and not the end. And I think maybe how you perceive life has a lot to do with that. But I personally believe that all these bad things that could have taken me out, I had decisions along the way to go left or right. And sticking with the right way, even if it's hard, trust me, very easy to get drunk and want to go bang a bunch of strippers and like do some cocaine, have a great night. Woo woo. I fight that sometimes, right? Like anybody fights that. That's demonic. Those are demons getting at you, trying to get you off this path of like righteousness, right? Like you shouldn't, nobody's perfect, but you know the difference of right and wrong. And if you feel bad, you're not wrong. I just think you're not wrong for speaking on that, but you should, until you know how to properly communicate. Like I'm having this conversation with you 15 years after my trauma, right? It takes time. But also, I'm only 35. And at 20, I thought my life was over. And now I have the perspective of I'm only 35 and not I'm 20 and it's all over. So time, healing, surround yourself with good people. And some people need this, and don't be afraid to be made fun of, but like maybe you just need a new crowd. Maybe you do need to go to a church. Maybe you do need to find a meetup group online that says we love cats, and you go hang out, right? And just find some common ground with people, because I have lost every single friend that I had from my childhood. And sometimes admitting to yourself you have to do shit like that to get better is helpful, because jelly roll, the rear view mirror is much smaller than the windshield.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And where can people find you on social media and keep up with you and connect with you?
The voice of cash everywhere, including Gmail. And I'm very open. I'm very responsive. I want your listeners to know if anyone has a personal question, holler. Like I'm not on some smear campaign tear. I'm not on this. I'm just on this thing where it's like I do think people go through this stuff. I see it all the time. I got friends in their 40s and 50s. They're not okay. Um, and you know, I'm at least at a place where I'm becoming okay. I'm becoming okay to a point where, okay, I can help children. Okay, I'm mentally like I could never advocate for autistic children, which part three, we're gonna dive right into everything we're doing for these autistic kids out here. I just protect your peace, man, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like you can have self-respect. And if you don't know how to get there, I definitely don't recommend my way. Get some professional help. Like I shouldn't have cold turkey quit drinking and started da 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 da. Like I probably should have done like a 12-step program. I probably should have been aware of these things. But with addiction specifically, um, no one will talk about you in a couple years after you're healing or whatever, right? There isn't one person on the internet saying I'm some unhinged guy who can't get over his band and blah blah blah. Like time passes. So like for the addicts, if you need help, go. Go. Call your family, tell them because they probably don't know, right? Get help. And it doesn't free yourself of their judgments, free it all because it's not about them and they'll get over it. But if you need help, if you knocking on death's door, are you sad, or you literally can't stop drinking because like I was like that, right? I didn't think I had a problem, but I'm getting off work and where the wine at? Like if you recognize you can't do it by yourself, I think the strongest thing a human being can do is recognize that they need some help. And if you could get to that part, then you're gonna make it. You're gonna find the right help. Doesn't mean a doctor all the time. I'm not saying go take a Prozac. I'm saying start that journey of being submissive and realizing I can't do this all by myself. And that's the part I've been getting wrong. And I think that'll help people. I really think it will. It helped me specifically just like confining more on my wife and getting rid of the friends who encouraged my bad behaviors. And, I mean, there was one time, I'll end it with this, right? I think we said that like 7 times, but I'll really end it. This is like, there's fluid, right? That's why we might have part 19 one day, bro. Like these conversations are cool. I think, I remember one time when we had my kid, this was before I quit drinking, well before, but I'm living in the ghetto more or less at this point with my wife. I had a job. The guy owed me like 10 grand, didn't pay me, put me in a lot of debt. It was a marketing company. This is why I don't do 1099s anymore. And anyone who hires me, it needs to be a W-2. So I have like four W-2s, but whatever. Um, I remember hanging out with him. It was the fantasy football finals, and I was in the Super Bowl. So I'm getting drunk, right? I'm drinking so much, but like I'm drinking 12% IPAs or something. Like I'm not drinking Coors Lights, and I'm doing shots. And we're on the way home. Everything's fine. We park in front of my apartment. And this goes back to God, honestly. Like it really does. We pull in, pulls out this tray. He's like, "You want some Coke?" I was like, hammered. I was like, fuck yeah, bro. Whatever. I do a line. One line. I go upstairs, open the door. My wife goes, "Get the fuck out." I went, "Oh, what did I?" I'm like, I'm acting like I didn't just do cocaine in the car. Or whatever. She's like, "I just saw you. Are you fucking really? You're gonna do some cocaine and come into the house with our fucking kid? Like, fuck you. Fuck. Now I could have gone one or two ways. I could have been enraged on cocaine and alcohol and said, "Fuck that. This is my house. I'm a man." Or I could have done what I did, which is take one step out of that house, go, fuck, she's so right. Go back to the bar, throw up a bunch, cry, call my mom, and beg the next day to never do that ever again and learn my lesson. Never touched it since. So that's like, 7, 8 years. I've never even touched a party drug at this point because my left or right was presented to me. And instead of being this outspoken dude who needs to be right, or, oh, I live a hard life and work hard, what's one line of cocaine? I didn't have any of that. I had, you're so upset and I don't ever want to see that again. So admit when you're wrong. Take what people, I don't think I've ever even told that story, but like, I think they're important and I don't hide from that type of shit because it's all part of my growth. Like, I have been married for 10 years. Like, I survived the 7-year itch. And that comes from being like, sometimes we're just wrong. Now, women, you guys are wrong too, sometimes, but
Just kidding.
I think there's certain jobs as men and women, and like my job at the end of the day is to be a protector of peace in my family. So sometimes I'm going to take some L's that I shouldn't have felt like I needed to take, but ultimately that's my understanding of being a man, not the drug stuff, right? Just like doing stuff that my wife wants to do where I'm like, I don't really want to do that, but I love you, so let's do that. You learn that as you go. Partnerships are real. Finding your person is very important. I'm a firm believer that there's somebody for everybody once people believe in themselves enough to realize that there's somebody for everybody. Like, go find love. Go to you haven't been to a library in forever, go to the fucking library. If you love books, that's another thing. If you shopping for a wife or a husband or a I think people say the word partner a lot, right? Like if it's like same sex stuff, I'm trying to be politically correct. Um, but if you're trying to find like your life partner, shop where you would shop for a life partner. Like, what do you love? Okay, go do that. Like, believe it or not, if you're obsessed with turtles, there is somebody out there that loves turtles as much as you. And they're just as lonely as you. And all they want to do is hang out with somebody and talk about fucking turtles. So believe in yourself enough that don't give up on yourself and your journeys. And I think however long it takes, you'll get there. Don't give up on the journey. It's a journey, it's not a destination. I've been married for 10 years and I don't even know what the next 10 years look like. All I know is I'm excited about it and I'm emotionally and mentally committed to hell or high water. 10 years from now, that's my wife. 20 years from now, that's my wife. 50 years from now, I got to die for her to get rid of me. And lead with that. Lead with commitment and love. And when you're wrong, you're wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. You're human. You're stupid. It's okay because you're gonna fuck up a lot. The goal is just to not fuck up so much after you fuck up.
Thank you for all of that. Such words of wisdom, and what a great place to leave off on. I know that all these things are going to be really good tools for people and give them a lot of hope. So I will have your social media in the show notes so people can connect with you. I always encourage you guys to go give Cash a follow, go find him across social media, go support him. It's great to support people who are supporting victims, survivors, different demographics like autistic children. We need voices for the voiceless. And Cash, thank you for being one and for being here with us today.
No worries. And before we stop here, I I highly recommend you start running your episodes as recorded spaces on X and having those audio files on X. You drop bangers, dude, and the stories in that space, and we'll talk about it more, but I think there's a huge disconnect for what you offer in the world I come from in this degenerate crypto NFT underbelly. Everyone can relate to what you're doing. So we'll talk about that part later, but just thank you for what you do. I don't know if enough people tell you that, but like I said, 15 years of trying to find the right person to try to like open myself up to. You do it correctly. It's not forced. I didn't get preset questions. I think a few people trying to enter me before was like, don't talk about this, this, and this. And it's cool that you just let people tell their story. And I'd like to end with you know, his name was Kevin, right? Rest in peace to the homie, man. I think I think I think his story is gonna continue to impact. And just know twice since I've seen that, I've prayed for the justice of that guy. I think it'll come. I think all the cards are falling. And however I can help and support in finding a solution to bring that man down, even if I got a call, where is it in the UK? Where's this guy at?
Yeah, in the UK.
I got homies in the UK. We need to pick it. We need to pull up. You let me know and I'll get the degenerates on it. No issue. I got people worldwide. We'll figure something out offline. I didn't even mean to bring this up recording. I'm sorry, but
Thank
maybe
you.
for your audience, like that man's been on my mind and heart. And however I can help to make some noise there, we'll figure that out. Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you for honoring him. Kevin was very special. And,
Yes, he
that
was.
shows the power of why we need to care about these testimonies and why we need to talk about hard things because a lot of people don't realize how common it is and, don't have hope. And so we need to give that and spread that around the world. So I will have Cash's information in the show notes, you guys. I will have mine as well. Support us, follow us, write your comments below so we can answer them on episode 3 or 19, whenever episode we get to him. Kat,
Everyone will
wait
flow
to have
into,
you back on again and to dive into more of the autism acceptance that you promote in your work there. I think it'll be really important to talk about that and to, talk about how you got into that. And for everybody listening, thank you so much. God bless you, and we will see you next time.